Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi everyone. We are still trying to analyze the role of Islamic banking and finance in the United Nations Social Development Goal, and our focus today is still at SDG number 8, which is the business enterprise and entrepreneurship. I presume that Islamic banking and finance have a role to enrich the SDG number 8 from the Islamic perspective. And of course, the Al-Bay', which is trade and commerce, that has become the backbone of Islamic banking, should be amplified in SDG number 8 as our main contribution, as the Islamic contribution to the 17 SDG goals of the United Nations. And of course, when we look at business enterprise, we will look at Al-Bay', and one component of Al-Bay' is the Al-Qirat or the Mudarabah. So this is the Islamic tradition that nobody can refute, that the Mudarabah is a profit-loss sharing system, but that is still under the banner of Al-Bay', because the Quran has mentioned Al-Bay' directly to all of us. In Surah Al-Baqarah 275, the Mushrikun, they were claiming that Al-Bay' is like riba. Inna al-bay'u mithlu riba. They say that Al-Bay' is equivalent to riba. And the Quran detested this by saying that Allah has permitted al-bay' but prohibit riba. Wa ahlallahu al-bay' wa haramu riba. So the Quran have directly mentioned al-bay'. There's no doubt about it. Nobody can reject the statement. The Quran has directly mentioned al-bay' or prescribing al-bay' over riba. We heard recently that a noted Sharia advisor, he was saying that the Quran does not mention resharing, which is very true, that the Quran does not mention profit loss sharing or PLS, but the Quran mentioned al-bay' very, very clearly. And this is where we should be looking at issues pertaining to business enterprise and entrepreneurship, that the basis of Al-Bay' or the basis of Islamic banking that we should project in SDG number 8 is Al-Bay'. When the Quran says Allah has permitted Al-Bay' but prohibit riba, and Al-Bay', you all know very well, is sale, which is trade and commerce. And by now it is common knowledge, that in Al-Bay', the merchant, the selling party, intends to make profit, but also accept potential losses, which is risk. And that is the rule in any ordinary business, right? So in sale, risk-taking is pursued with possible losses. So the issue here is not risk-sharing or profit-loss sharing. It is the taking of risk. That is the basis of Islamic finance. Al-Bay' is the taking of profit with possible losses, number one. So that is the philosophical component of Al-Bay' that must be clearly understood. That we talk about Al-Bay', as an activity where people pursue profit with possible losses. And then we will come to number two, where the contract of Al-Bay' must be valid, that in order for us to pursue profit with possible losses, the contract of Al-Bay' must be valid. It must be free from riba, free from gharar, free from maisir, free from pork, free from alcohol, and other prohibited commodities. And we must be very clear that, that fiqh mu'amalat syllabus, they have basically show that Al-Bay' can be classified into three, which is sale-based, and that is murabaha, and that is istisna, that is salam. Al-Bay' is also a lease-based under ijara operating ijara, and al-bay' is also equity-based. That is the mudarabah and musyarakah, profit loss sharing or risk sharing, whatever it is. But that is basically what al-bay' is: sale-based, lease-based, and equity-based. But then the basis of al-bay', whether it is sale-based, lease-based, and equity-based, the basis is the taking of profit with possible losses. This is where we must be able to remind Islamic finance, to take risk, not to defy the risk, not to compromise the risk. As what we see in Bay' al-Ina, where in Bay' al-Ina there is no sale, there's no transfer of ownership from the bank to the customer or from the customer to the bank, because risk-taking here has been compromised. Likewise, in Tawarruk, risk-taking is compromised. Price risk is compromised. The price of the commodity in the master sale agreement is equivalent to the price of the commodity in the master purchase agreement. And we know that these two agreements are made in different time, and there will be price volatility between those two contracts. But yet the price is set at one price, and this is again an act of defying or eliminating or rejecting risk-taking in al-bay', which is not the fault of risk-sharing or PLS. The focus must be risk-taking of al-bay' in the Islamic financial product. So these are the two main risk-taking behavior that we must be able to understand before we go into risk-sharing or profit loss sharing. That risk-taking appear in al-bay' when the merchant is risking his capital to earn profit and incurring possible loss as well. The legal maxim al-ghurum bi-ghunni explained very well the Islamic risk-taking behavior, that in order for us to enjoy profit, we must be able to embrace, to accept risk, right? That capital, which is money, is not God. It must be allowed to depreciate. It must be allowed to, it must be exposed to the business activity. So it is not like riba, where capital is contained and allowed to appreciate by virtue of the agreement. So risk avoiding, earning profit by avoiding risk, is riba, when lenders are assured capital appreciation by way of contract, by way of agreement. Despite the economic volatility, lenders will enjoy capital appreciation by way of the agreement. But risk avoiding behavior is acceptable. We are not saying that we must reject risk avoiding behavior, but if we have money and we would like to see that it is safe, then the placement of that capital, which is made for safety purposes, will be done at a cost. So meaning that we will put our money with a bank, and the bank will put it in the safe deposit boxes, and therefore we will be paying a fee for that safety purposes. So that is not a business proposition. It is only a safety business offered by the bank. But risk avoiding, with potential earning, like what we see in riba, is prohibited, and any kind of Islamic product where risks are avoided, but at the same time able to reward the customer fixed money, or able to reward the customer with capital appreciation, that is riba. Risk avoiding with profit appreciation is riba. So that is something that we must be able to detect, to ensure that Islamic finance will not be implicated in this kind of activity. But we saw it very clearly that this activity is real in Tawarruk and Ina. In Tawarruk, we can see that risks are avoided, but yet the Tawarruk depositors or the bank that gave Tawarruk financing, they are enjoying profit without the taking of risk, without the taking of ownership risk or business risk. Okay, guys, let us please comment and please subscribe as well. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.